Patients switch doctors more today than ever before. However, for your practice, there is a small window of opportunity to capitalize on this. Once they make that switch, it may be years until they look again. At the end of the day, we all know you need your new patients to be greater than the patients that leave your practice. And that's just to break even. If you find that your reimbursements are falling, which is typical, then you actually need more new patients than last year. However, there's only certain times that you can capture those new patients. After all, if they're happy at their current practice and they like their doctor right now, they're not likely to leave that practice unless there's some extraneous factor. And so I'd like to have a discussion of the times that they do leave that practice and they do look for a new physician. And then we can talk a little bit about how to capture those patients, though we might cover that at a later time. First, let's talk about times they leave. There's really three main times that we see people kind of up and leave their current practice in order to find a new one. And that's that window of opportunity that you can really capture and take advantage of. So the first, moving to a new area. People move all the time, and especially with healthcare and things like urgent care, family physicians, eye doctors, they really want those options to be really close, like within 15 or 20 minutes. And so even if they just move across town, whenever they move to a new area, that is the prime opportunity to grab up that patient for life. Not just that patient, also probably that patient's families and any connections they may make. The second time is when their physician retires. We're seeing a lot of hospital groups especially buy up physicians, and eventually those physicians leave practice. And so then you're stuck with this practice with three other physicians that says, oh, don't worry, we can take care of you. But those patients have no personal relationship with the actual practice. They just had a personal relationship with that physician. And so this is the time you can swoop in and you can say, hey, I know Dr. So-and-so is retiring. We're really like him. And the way we practice medicine is almost identical. We would love for you to give us a try. As well, I mentioned most of these are those big healthcare conglomerates like HCA or Presbyterian, Baylor Health, anything like that. Those practices are likely to be a lot less personable than they once were. And so these patients grew up with these independent physicians, and they really liked the physician, and eventually the physician joined that healthcare conglomerate. Well, things probably got a lot colder, and they probably spent a lot less time with the patient. And so not only is their doctor retiring, but you also have the advantage of that experience being pretty cold and probably pretty underwhelming. So it's a great time to jump in and grab their patients. And then the third opportunity to really increase your patient acquisition is if they need a second opinion. And this especially goes for any specialists or any kind of the more risky the surgery and the more risky the operation, the more likely they are to look for a second opinion. And so if you're an ophthalmologist, a patient might have went into one of your competitors for, say, cataracts. And perhaps that competitor physician, their bedside manner wasn't very good. They didn't spend much time with the patient. This is a very serious surgery. After all, this is someone's vision. At that point, you can actually step in as a practice and say, hey, I think we can do a lot better. I think we'll listen to you. I think we'll take care of all your concerns. Why don't you come to us for a second opinion? That's that third and final opportunity of acquiring new patients. You only have so many moments in a patient's lifetime. If they're happy, if their practice is stable, if their physician is stable, they're unlikely to leave. But if someone moves to a new area, if their physician retires, or if they need a second opinion, you can come in and offer them the solution. And so now let's talk how to capture those new patients. This is going to sound really silly, but there's two things. The first is be visible when they're looking. So if someone does move to a new area and they type in orthopedic near me, you should show up. And not just should, you need to show up. And at that point, you probably don't need to show up at number 3 or number 5 or on page 2. You need to show up first because that's probably what they're clicking on, and oftentimes that's all they're clicking on. So be visible when they're looking. And second, look great. When you do show up, make sure your reviews are awesome. Make sure when they click on your website, it looks fantastic. Make sure they can view the physician bios and see, oh, how this is exactly like my old physician, only, younger and not retiring. And then make sure it's really easy to book an appointment. So people should be able to book an appointment online. They should be able to call, have anything that makes it really, really simple. And that is how you can capitalize on patients switching doctors and make it work for you.